Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Look, it's the international break, and I decided let me just make another video on Arsenal because I think Arsenal don't play for another week, and my god, it feels like the international breaks are happening every week. I saw Arsenal, there was an international break only like 2 weeks ago, but here we are once again. But let's get started, okay? Let's get started and let's talk about Arsenal. And this video is about me talking about Arsenal and the season so far in terms of Arsenal. At the time of recording, Arsenal are now sitting first of the Premier League. It's been a very long time since Arsenal have been first in the Premier League. I think last season, I don't think we were ever first. I think we were chasing. And I think the last time we were first was probably 2 seasons ago. So it's been a very long time since Arsenal have been first. And my God, does it feel good. I can really get used to this feeling. But yeah, let's get into the main topic. And it's about Arsenal's season so far. Look, coming into this season, everyone knew what this season was about, okay? It was for Arsenal to win the league. After finishing second, triple back to back. The pressure was on Arsenal to win the Premier League. I mean, when you do finish second 3 times in a row, you have to eventually win the Premier League. And there was a lot of pressure on Arteta. There's still a lot of pressure on Arteta throughout the whole club. Arteta is probably under probably the most pressure, I would say, in terms of actually trying to achieve anything in terms of the league. You got Pep Guardiola, you got Slot, but they are under somewhat pressure. But Pep Guardiola, who's going to say anything to him if he doesn't win the Premier League? Whilst on Arteta, after you finish second that many times and you spend the money you have, there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of pressure on you to deliver this season. Everything will almost be micro-analysed with Arsenal this season, and we're already seeing it. And when I did see the fixture list, I was thinking, damn, that is a tough fixture list. We had a lot of hard games. We had Anfield, we got Man City at home, we had flipping Newcastle away, we had Manchester United away, and these are two games. Firstly, both Newcastle and Manchester United away are games that we've dropped points last season. Regardless of how Manchester United perform, in Arsenal always struggle when we go to Old Trafford. We always struggle to beat Man United away. Last season, even in the poorest form, we couldn't even beat them. So it's going to be one of those games that was difficult. But regardless, I felt confident. I felt that Arsenal could beat majority of those teams at the start of the season. And to be honest, we were probably right in thinking that, because we did win majority of our games. Yes, we drew one and we lost one, but 4 wins out of 6 is not a bad return. But as the season progressed, sorry, did I say 4 wins? I think it's 4 wins, right? 4 wins and a draw and a loss, or it's either 5 wins and a draw and a loss. Who knows? I haven't checked it. But look, as the season progressed, okay, as the season started, there was concerns with Arsenal. Okay, Arsenal were winning games, but in terms of performances, Arsenal were not performing well, and it was okay. You could understand it for the first few games. Build up the match rhythm. First few games, no one was looking good. Even Liverpool were not looking good, so it was understandable why Arsenal were not clicking at the start. But as the week started progressing, as the game started going on, there was not much improvement, and that's when the concerns started coming, and we started seeing Arteta's mindset and his mentality, and almost a message he was sending, not just to the fans, but to the players and everyone. I mean, we were seeing it in these big games. The most notable one is Liverpool, Manchester City, the lineups that he was putting up. 3 defensive midfielders against Liverpool at Anfield. And this was a Liverpool team that, for me, I felt they were there for the taking. They were not there as at the strongest point, and I felt maybe if Arsenal really pushed in that game, we could have got a result there. I think it was probably one of our best chances to go win at Anfield. And then we saw in the Bilbao game. Yes, I know in the Bilbao game Arsenal won, but it was really because of a moment of magic from Trossard and Martinelli, the super subs that come on and change the game. Because when you remember the first half, we were not looking too good. And this defensive midfield mindset he set with Merino, Zubamendi, Declan Rice, I don't know, it just worried me. It showed me something that I really didn't want to admit about Arteta. And a lot of people have been saying it, a lot of the media, a lot of pundits have been saying it, even some players like Thierry Henry have been saying it, which is that Arteta is more desperate to not lose than to win. And I was giving it a thought, and even though I didn't want to admit it, it did look like it was true. As a fan, you'd never want to admit that about your manager, okay? But the truth is, the way he was looking, it looked like that statement was true because of the games and the lineup we were going in these big games. Last season we drew 14 games. 14 games, and you could probably argue half of those games were maybe because, yes, some bad referee decisions, but honestly, it was also on Arsenal. Maybe we didn't show enough intent to go win some of these games. But this season, performances against both Liverpool and Man City. Liverpool, I mean that second half, and then Manchester City, especially in that first half, the lineup he set, it did show an indication of maybe Arteta was more desperate to not lose than to win. Because I remember coming out of both of those games feeling that Arsenal got out of the game not giving 100%, or maybe not giving the opposition enough trouble. Liverpool, I feel like we came out of Anfield without even breaking a sweat. Like, I feel like we didn't give enough. Manchester City, I felt that was a game where if we gave it all, especially that we wasted 45 minutes in the first half with that stupid lineup. So it just didn't make sense what the intention was heading to these games. And I was just thinking to myself, how on earth are Arsenal going to win anything if this is a mentality Arsenal have leading to these games? In an intention, or more urgency to not lose than to win. How are you going to win any of these major trophies? But then things started to slowly change, and it was a Newcastle game. That was the first game, because that was the first game where I saw a shift. Suddenly I started seeing more direct play from Arsenal, and probably our best performance this season, especially at a ground we haven't won in 3 years. I mean, last season Newcastle had Arsenal's number. Every time Newcastle played Arsenal, it felt like Arsenal just couldn't get through Newcastle. And that game this season, that first half, we've also probably been 2-3 goals up in that first half. We've also finished their chances, and we looked different. Arsenal looked different in a good way. There was way more chances being created. The attacking play the patterns just looked so different. It was not something that we were used to seeing. And then we saw it against Olympiacos, and then we saw glimpses of it against West Ham. And the whole handbrake being lifted, it does seem like potentially the handbrake has now been lifted. Of course, the season has only started, so we're going to have to wait and see if it has actually been lifted. But there has been some positive signs in terms of how Arsenal are playing. It feels like where there's a bit more fluidity in terms of Arsenal. It feels like there's a bit more directness, and that's only a positive thing. Because I feel like with Arteta and Arsenal, it feels like Arteta worries a bit too much about what the opposition is going to do. I feel like he prepares his games way too much for the opposition. I understand, look, you have to prepare for the opposition. You'd be stupid not to, okay? But I feel like you look at the great teams, okay? You look at the Man Cities, the Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. They never cared who the opposition was. When you are the best team, you will play your game. The opposition will have to worry about you. You don't need to worry about your opposition. And that's what the great Pep teams have done. You see, whoever they face, whether they face a Real Madrid, whether they play a Barcelona, whether they play a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool, they will play their game. And that's how they've won so many trophies. That's why Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp has won so many trophies, because they play the game. They know they have better players, and they utilize it. They platform their best players to perform, and that is what wins them trophies and games. And that's something it feels like with Arteta and Arsenal. It feels like maybe there's some games where Arsenal are not platforming their best players. It feels like they're almost playing at a handbrake. It's the same style. You're seeing the wingers having to beat 3-4 man by themselves. Saka being constantly double teamed because he has no support. Martinelli, he gets the ball, he's on the touchline, he has to be another 3-4 man. Like, it felt like it was way too much for the attackers to do. Like, we were just relying on the front three to pull something out of the bag, and it just wasn't working. But the main question, of course, as good as it seems now, the main question is, what happens if we lose? Is he going to revert back to his old style, or is he going to carry on? That is going to be the main thing to see. That's going to be the main question. Hopefully he doesn't revert. Hopefully he carries on playing this way, because if you are going to play this way, of course you are more open to losing games, because you're not so, you open yourself to transitions. But I feel like with the money we've spent, with the quality of players we have, we need to platform these players, the likes of Saka, the likes of Eze, the likes of Gyökeres, the likes of Trossard, Martinelli, Martin Odegaard. These are top players. Platform them, give them a platform to go perform, and I'm sure they will deliver. And another thing that has changed is we managed to win in games where we were under pressure. Newcastle was a game right after Liverpool dropped points. Last season, I don't think we capitalized once when Liverpool dropped points. And this season, the first time Liverpool dropped points, what do Arsenal do? Arsenal go capitalize. And that's what cost us last season. Liverpool dropped a lot of points, but the thing is, Arsenal never capitalized. I remember at one point last season, if Arsenal beat West Ham at home, I think the points gap would have reduced to 5 points. Instead, we lost. And that was a big concern for Arsenal heading into this season. How many points we used to drop in these pressurized games. So yeah, hopefully that continues. Arsenal managed to keep winning games. But yeah, it's positive signs for now. It is going to be interesting because it felt like the shift started after the Man City half, that second half. It felt like Arteta shifted. I feel like he saw something that he felt that the players are good enough. It looked like he could trust these players. I don't know why he didn't trust them earlier because they're good players. But it felt like after that Man City game, he got the confidence to trust them. And what's so funny, it's almost like a full circle. Because if you remember 3 seasons ago, or 4 years ago, I don't know when it was, when we lost to Man City 4-1, it was a shift. From that loss, it felt like we never went to that same football. And come 3-4 seasons ago, a full circle, another loss, another draw to Man City. Looks like it may have shifted Arteta's thinking. But I guess we'll have to wait and see to see if it is a long thing or maybe it was just a one-off. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think there's been a lot of positive signs, or do you think we have to just wait and see and not get too excited? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.